What's up, you guys, and welcome to a whole new episode of Tony Approved. The Jackson 5 is arguably the first family of music, and this past weekend, Janet Jackson, Miss Jackson if you nasty, the baby of the family, actually did an open up, tell all documentary, just talking about her ups and downs and her triumphs in her life and all of the secrets from her career that we've been dying to get answers to. This documentary was filmed over 5 years, and I love the fact that Janet is taking control of her narrative, and I hope this inspires more artists to go out there and really give us the truth in their own way. Here's some of my favorite takeaways from the documentary. For starters, being a singer and a star was not something that Janet chose to do. She was literally thrust into this entertainment business because of the family that she was born into. But it was her drive and her determination to make it as her own, to be separate from her family, and to really step out there on her own and be known as Janet Jackson that makes her so special and makes her an icon. That's so inspiring to me. All of us need an example of someone that's being their own unique self, that is driven, that is determined to not rely on others or take the easy way out. And I love that Janet Jackson chose to be that example for not only her fans, but everyone around the world. We got behind the scenes videos of her with Michael, and I love the way she showcased Michael being a brother, getting stories of him in the studio, behind the scenes with Scream, just talking about the different ways that they grew up. Seeing his creative process, just working with Janet was really, really nice. Michael received a whole lot of undeserved scrutiny while he was on this earth, especially for the type of impact that he had. So I love the fact that not only with this documentary was she taking control of her narrative, but she was like, y'all not going to continue to have my brother out here looking crazy. I'm going to talk about my brother and showcase him for who he truly was and the type of man that I knew him to be. I love seeing her siblings in the documentary, especially with her sister Rebe. We don't really get to see and hear a lot from her, so it was really nice to really get her candid thoughts on different things from Janet's career. I love the way that she interviewed her mom in such a respectful way, asking her the important questions that we need to know, but not pushing her too far to go into uncomfortable territory, especially when it comes to talk about Michael Jackson. This is, after all, her son. And then even when it comes to Joe Jackson, Janet did a great job of representing his legacy in a positive light. The media has always painted Joe out to be a type of person who put the love for success over the love of his kids. And Janet did a great way of showcasing, like, look, this is a man that came from a different generation, and he had to do what he had to do to make sure not only did his family make it out of the hood, but to make sure that all of his children stayed out of trouble, and that she respected him for it and gives him nods for the fact that she wouldn't have the same career without him. That's really important and mature. I'm pretty sure she didn't feel this way all of the time. That was really classy of her. I did not know that Janet Jackson was married for literally half of her career to several different husbands. And of course, she had her relationship with Jermaine Dupri. When I came along to the Janet era, I kind of got more into Janet when it comes to the Velvet Rope, Nutty Professor time period. Really, the fact that she was married puts a different spin on her expression of her sexuality. And even though during some of her albums she wasn't married, but the fact that she started adding sex appeal into her art form while she was married puts a different gloss over it. And when you're expressing your sexuality and you have your husband right there next to you, encouraging you and telling you to do you and allowing you to be the best version of yourself, even though he was kind of controlling to Janet, it's empowering, and it takes away the ability for people to be able to shame you for being expressive with your sexuality, because it's like, hey, I'm being sexy for the person that I'm supposed to be sexy for, which is my husband, and he's perfectly okay with me including that in my career. So yeah, I love to see it. Never in a million years did I know that the hands that was covering Janet's breast on her Rolling Stones cover was actually her husband. Like, that just took that picture over the top for me. That gives me strong Partition vibes, and I see where Beyonce got the inspiration. Janet Jackson has inspired women, men, and arguably female rappers with the pushing of sexual empowerment for women. We give a lot of credit to Lil' Kim when it comes to the female rappers, but yeah, it was really Janet, especially as a Black woman, to push that envelope forward. Yeah, Miss Jackson if you nasty definitely opened up a lot of doors. I didn't know until after watching the documentary that Rhythm Nation was like a Black empowerment album, which makes me excited because this was her, if I'm not mistaken, the documentary said this was her first tour, and she holds the record for having the highest gross debut tour. Icon Stardust. Makes me want to go back and listen to the album, baby. And not only that, Janet got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame at just 24 years old. During this era, it definitely rode on its own success outside of just Control. The fashions was everything. The videos was everything. The choreography for that time was everything. Seeing her in the studio recording this album and really showing the creative process of how sometimes you can have creative differences in order to come out with a masterpiece is everything a music lover like me would want to see in a music documentary. Before she was singing, Janet Jackson was acting, and that actually adds a little bit more depth to her being an all-around entertainer. She's someone who can sing, dance, and act. And since she grew up watching her brothers create musical masterpieces, that allowed her to get a first-hand knowledge on how to create the music, all while getting her acting chops down pat before actually having to jump into it. Then once you jump ahead several years in her career, to see her strongly handling her acting career and her musical career at the same time and doing it well and flawlessly just shows how powerful of an impact that Janet truly has. And I see how and why she's an inspiration to all of our faves. Aaliyah made an appearance in the documentary, which was so crazy because from part one, I was sitting there in the back of my mind. I was like, dang, I really hope she some type of way includes Aaliyah in this documentary. I know Aaliyah loved her and Janet actually loved her back. And the way she just slid her in there with Britney, I was just like, yes, you are sliding in two of my main girls. It was also said in the documentary that she inspired Beyonce. And I really wish we would have got some type of clip, video, something. Somebody should have sent a message to Beyonce to have her added into this documentary, but I guess, Janet just didn't want to bother her. Beyonce has always made it clear that not only was Michael an inspiration for her, but Janet was as well. Justin. One of the highlights of this documentary was definitely to get Janet Jackson's opinion on the Super Bowl, which Janet took the high road. She basically said that was 14 years ago. Everybody needs to get over it, and her and Justin are friends, which honestly kind of rubbed me the wrong way just a little bit, only because I hate the fact that we as Black people always seem to have to take the high road. Like literally, Janet was blackballed in this industry for a wardrobe malfunction that has happened to several of her white counterparts and never really got as much of a backlash as she did. But here Janet is 14 years later being the bigger person and saying, it's not that big of a deal. And I definitely respect her, but I hate that we have to be in that type of position, that we have to take all of the negativity, make ourselves okay with it, heal from it ourselves, and then turn around and have to appease the masses by saying, it's okay, let it go. Which I honestly do think Janet is over it and she does wish people would let it go. But at the same time, that karma has to be corrected. And yeah, Janet needs to be vindicated in that situation. But don't worry, seems like Black Twitter ain't letting it go because they was still lighting Justin up on Twitter after the documentary. Finally, the last nugget that I really took away from this is when Janet started to discuss what it's like to be innocent in a situation and for people to see that you're innocent and play on that and lie on you and manipulate you to get you to do what they want to do, and how painful that can be and is. And that's true. I feel like all of us have been immature at some point in our life and was in a situation where people were taking advantage of it because they could clearly see that you weren't mature in certain areas. And I hate that. It's like bullying in a way. Thankful that Janet actually brought that to the forefront and mentioned that and really drugged that home as a point in her documentary, because it's definitely not cool. I've been in situations where I definitely didn't know any better and was taking advantage of people who could see that I didn't know any better. And individuals like that should just be shot in the streets, because why would you want to just take advantage of somebody? Would you want somebody to do that to you? All in all, this documentary was amazing and I truly enjoyed it. If you didn't get a chance to see it, they're doing reruns on Lifetime, so definitely go over there and check it out. And they're actually selling it on iTunes, which I think I'm going to grab it. But I want you guys to jump down in the comment section and let me know what your takeaways were from this documentary. What was your favorite parts? I know some people on Twitter were saying they felt like that she skimmed through some of her topics. So which era and topic would you guys have liked to see her go into more detail with? Go ahead, drop down in the comment section and let me know. Thank you so much for tuning in and checking out my video. You could have watched any other video on YouTube, but you actually chose to click on this one. And for that, I say thank you. Take some time, if you have it, to check out more videos that's on my channel. And I'll be back soon with a whole new video on a topic that is inspiring to me, Tony Approved. Until next time, God bless.